At first glance, it may seem ordinary enough, a simple handbag symbol appearing in the carving of an ancient culture. And yet, take a step back and realize that this symbol appears in works from Mesopotamia to Mesoamerica, Asia and Africa, Europe and North America, even on islands in the middle of the ocean. What are these handbags, and why are they depicted again and again in cultures separated by centuries and thousands of miles, cultures which never came in contact with each other, and in most cases, were not even aware of each other's existence? The question has puzzled archaeologists for generations. Recently, an answer has emerged, one which not only explains what the handbags are and why they appear across cultures, but which changes everything we thought we knew about human history. Settle in. In this video, we'll lay it all out, and perhaps, finally solve the mystery once and for all. The first thing to understand when talking about the mysterious handbag carvings is that they don't appear in just a handful of places, or in just one region, but literally all over the world. Start in Mesopotamia, where the handbags appear in the works of the Sumerians, Assyrians, and Babylonians, the Mitanni and the Phoenician empires, and the ancient Armenians. Head across the ocean, and the handbags appear in Mesoamerican works which predate the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incas, including the Olmec and Toltec empires, and the ancient tribes of Veracruz. They appear in Asia, in the works of Indian Hindus and the ancient tribes of Indonesia. They were depicted by the Etruscans in Italy, the Hittite Empire in Turkey, and the ancient Bosnians. They even appear in the Koso petroglyphs created by indigenous North Americans, and at the mysterious 12,000-year-old site known as Göbekli Tepe. We could go on, but the point is clear: the handbags are everywhere. The question is, why? Why are all of these ancient cultures depicting the same thing? Of course, the simplest of explanations, and the one usually proposed by the most unimaginative of mainstream scientists, is that there is no mystery at all. The handbag carvings are exactly that, mundane carvings of simple handbags, not anything special or mysterious. In some ways, this explanation makes sense, if you don't think about it too deeply. Of course, broadly speaking, bags are a simple object that every culture had, so surely it is possible that every culture depicted them, as they might depict the use of a bowl, a shovel, or a chair. And yet, the handbags found in carvings around the world do not simply appear as mundane objects in everyday use. Again and again, they appear in the hands of deities and as parts of mythical scenes. It's not as though these mythical scenes are filled with other everyday items, so if the handbags are merely handbags, why depict them there in the first place? Do they not seem out of place amongst gods and myths? Moreover, it's not just that handbags appear in carvings across cultures, but that they almost always seem to be a specific handbag. Think about it: if every culture used bags, then certainly these bags appeared in a near infinite number of shapes, sizes, and designs. And yet, across cultures, the handbags found in these carvings look almost identical. Often, they're even held the same way, in the palm with the fingers upturned. Think about other things which near every culture created, and how differently they can appear, from weapons to vehicles, to pottery, to gods, to music, and so on. Suggesting that the handbag carvings found in cultures across the world are simply handbags seems to raise more questions than answers. There are some who believe that there is a deeper meaning behind the handbag carvings, that in fact they represent an ancient depiction of the cosmos. In this theory, the semicircle which appears as the bag's handle represents the hemisphere of the sky, while the solid square base underneath, the body of the bag, represents the earth. It has been proposed that there is even a spiritual connotation to this, the meeting of earth and sky representing the unification of the material and non-material elements of existence, the connection between the divine and the earthly. And yet, most of the cultures where handbag carvings appear are known to have possessed nuanced cosmological understanding and well-developed religious traditions, both of which they depicted in incredibly detailed works of art and construction. To suggest that these cultures would depict the cosmos, or mythical concepts as a semicircle and a square, simply doesn't match up with how they represented these things. On top of that, it again does not explain why essentially the same handbag appears again and again. Surely these cultures all had different conceptions of the cosmos, different conceptions about the material and non-material. Why then would they all have the same simplistic depiction? It seems that surely an explanation must go further. And indeed, there are those who have gone much further. For some, the handbags do not look like any old bag, but like modern designer handbags you see today. This has led to the emergence of the theory that they look like modern designer handbags because, well, they are held in the hands of time travelers who visited ancient civilizations. At very least, this would solve the problem of the handbag being depicted the same way again and again. Admittedly, this is a theory which may trend towards the more unbelievable of conspiracies. Although, based on some of the things which have been found depicted at ancient sites, you can hardly blame people for suggesting the hypothesis. Again and again, carvings have been found at ancient sites which appear to depict things the ancients simply hadn't invented yet. For example, does this ancient Greek carving show a woman using a laptop, complete with cable ports? Does this carving at an ancient Hindu temple show a woman using a cell phone, and another using a tablet with a touchscreen stylus pen? And what of this carving from the Cathedral of Salamanca, constructed centuries ago, which appears to show an astronaut? Or the so-called helicopter hieroglyphs at the ancient Abydos temple of Seti, which appear to show a helicopter, submarine, and spaceship? Perhaps those explanations which claim time travel should not be written off so easily. But that's a story for another day. For now, let's return to the handbag carvings. Time travel is not the only wild explanation. Some believe they have solved the mystery of the handbags by looking closer at this Assyrian relief. Notice how the figures holding handbags stand around the Tree of Life. Some have suggested that this Tree of Life looks suspiciously like an operational Tesla coil, a device invented in the late 1800s by Nikola Tesla designed to wirelessly transmit electricity. And if we go to Egypt, ancient depictions of Tesla coils can be found time and time again, always at the most important temples. In fact, many believe that one of the most well-known symbols in ancient Egypt, the Ankh symbol, is an actual depiction of a Tesla coil technology. Could this be possible? And if so, might the handbags the figures hold represent some sort of tool to tap into this energy supply, like a rechargeable battery which uses the electricity the Tesla coil is creating to power an advanced ancient civilization? Following this theory, one might look closer at this Olmec carving of the god Quetzalcoatl. Note how Quetzalcoatl, which means feathered serpent, cradles a man holding a mysterious handbag. Does this man not appear to be sitting inside some sort of machine, perhaps at the controls of a flying device? Given the prominent placement of the handbag, is it possible that this was the energy source powering this machine? The question becomes even more interesting when you examine this carving from Veracruz, Mexico, created at about the same time. Does this not look eerily similar to a modern astronaut carrying a personal life support system? Here, we begin to go further and further down a rabbit hole. Could the handbags carved by cultures across the world really hold the secrets of some sort of advanced ancient power source or technology? Of course, this theory, like the other explanations for the handbags already mentioned, sits in the realm of speculation. There is, however, another theory, one rooted not in speculation, but in the records of the ancients, an explanation which ties everything together and offers a new history of humanity. To understand this theory, we must begin by looking closer at some of the individual handbag carvings found in diverse cultures around the world, and looking not at the handbags, but who is holding them. Please like and subscribe the channel.